Tesla just announced two new configurations for their very popular Model Y, and one of them is completely unexpected, so let's get into it. The Tesla Model Y was announced nearly 2 years ago in March of 2019, and at that time they announced 4 different configurations for the car. They announced a standard range version coming in at $39,000, a long range rear-wheel drive version coming in at $47,000, a dual motor all-wheel drive coming in at $51,000, and then a performance model coming in at $60,000. The standard range model said spring of 2021, but all of the rest of them said fall of 2020, and they actually beat those timelines and shipped the Model Y initially in March of 2020. Well, when Tesla put up pre-orders for the Model Y, you could choose from 3 different versions: the rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or performance model. They had no option to pre-order the standard range yet. And then when it actually came out, they only made 2 different versions. They made the all-wheel drive version and then the performance model. Those were the only 2 you could get. And I had actually originally pre-ordered the rear-wheel drive version, and then I ended up changing my order because I had heard Tesla kind of does this thing where they ship out the more expensive models first. And it turned out that they have not even made this rear-wheel drive version at all, so it's good that I switched my order. The weird thing is the rear-wheel drive Tesla took pre-orders for, and they took an order fee of $2,500 from plenty of customers for the rear-wheel drive version, but they have not given an update as to when it would come or anything. On top of this, when Tesla originally announced the Model Y, they announced a 7-seater version. They just said that it can seat 7. Well, when they took initial pre-orders, you could also order the 7-seater version, and then when the car was released, they took away that option, but showed that it would be coming later. And then, according to Elon Musk on Twitter, they decided to cancel the standard range version. He replied to someone on Twitter asking about it and said, quote, "No, as range would be unacceptably low, less than 250 miles EPA. Elon also followed that up by hinting that the rear-wheel drive would be coming soon and that it would be great and get even more range than the current all-wheel drive version, which gets 326 miles. He also hinted that this long-range rear-wheel drive version would basically be replacing the standard range version, but be more expensive, around $45,000. Well, apparently Tesla changed their mind. They updated the Model Y website and added the standard range option. The standard range model actually comes in about $3,000 more expensive than Tesla had announced at that original announcement event. It starts at $41,990, but that is significantly cheaper than any of the Model Ys you can get right now. It does get a range under that 250 miles that Elon talked about at 244 miles. The top speed is 135 miles an hour, which actually matches the all-wheel drive version, and the 0 to 60 is 5.3 seconds. So it's still plenty fast. The important thing to keep in mind is that it is rear-wheel drive and not all-wheel drive, so if that is very important to you to have in your crossover SUV, you might not want to go for this cheaper standard range version. Currently, if you order a long-range all-wheel drive Model Y, it says 2 to 5 weeks, and the same time is listed for the standard range version of 2 to 5 weeks. We don't know how accurate this always is, but it does seem like they're ready to produce these, so if you were to order one soon, you could be getting it within a month. What's interesting is that with the Model 3, Tesla sells the standard range version of that called the Standard Range Plus now, and it comes with a partial premium interior. The main difference is being that it doesn't include heated rear seats, you only get 1 month of free premium connectivity, and the sound system is overall not as good. Additionally, Tesla lists that only the premium interior comes with LED fog lamps and interior floor mats. However, for the standard range Model Y, it includes the full premium interior, just the same as you would get on the performance model or the all-wheel drive model. You're going to get the same great sound system, all of your seats are going to be heated, you get the fog lamps, all of that stuff that they took away on the standard range Plus version of the Model 3 is there in the standard range version of the Model Y. And that might be why it ended up being a little more expensive than Tesla originally announced at $39,000. It's again coming in at $41,990, or basically $42,000. So we would expect that when Tesla announced a new version that they would finally have changed the center console on the Model Y, but apparently they have not. My guess is that they are just working through inventory of these old center consoles, and by the time they run out of those, they're going to switch it to what the Model 3 now has, and the Model Y now has in China as well. But you'll notice one upgrade here, which is that you can actually choose the 7-seater option, and it still says 2 to 5 weeks when you choose that option. Before, this option was grayed out, so you couldn't even order it, you couldn't get any details, and they haven't even added a new picture, but they did add some new details about the 7-seater, and it costs $3,000 extra, which has been the same and what we've expected from the beginning. According to Tesla's website, the 7-seater includes 3rd row seating for 2, easy entry into 3rd row USB-C charging, sliding 2nd row with adjustable seat backs, fold flat 2nd and 3rd rows for maximum cargo storage, and electronic fold flat releases in the trunk. So this is why this interior costs so much, because it's actually a big change to the second row seats. Currently in the 5-seater Model Y, you can't move that second row at all. But it looks like to make it easy so you can actually reach those back seats, now you can slide the second row forward and apparently easily access the third row seats. This is actually something I talked about around like 9 months ago or so. We saw some images of the third row seats in the Model Y, and we could see these little bars that looked like a track for the second row to move up and back. We never saw it in action. We actually never got to see a look inside of what these seats actually looked like, but now it sounds like that's actually what it was. On top of this, no confirmation or anything from Tesla that it will be front facing or rear facing. A lot of people have speculated that there's only going to be enough room if it's rear facing, with Sandy Munro as well saying that rear facing is going to make the most sense so that your legs can go down in that understorage compartment. Well, when Tesla announced the Model Y and announced the 7-seater, they were front facing. There's been really no question about that from Tesla. It's just been speculation of people saying there's not enough room, and I totally understand that speculation. I've talked about this in previous videos, but the trunk space in the Model Y is plenty. There's a lot of trunk space when you're putting cargo in there, but putting people in there is gonna be very questionable. The back of the Model Y slopes so much that headroom is gonna be so minimal back there. I feel like it's only gonna be for very small children or very small adults. I guess maybe an average sized child, but definitely very small adults. A lot of people are considering this as an alternative to the 6-seater Model X since it is way cheaper. However, my current suspicion is that if you really need those back seats, they're not going to provide that much room. Again, I really don't understand how there's going to be room back there, but Tesla has proven us wrong before, so maybe it's going to work out somehow, and as soon as I can get my hands on one, I will definitely check it out. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel for updates about that. It does sound like the 7-seater also is going to add some extra buttons in the back where you fold down the rear seats, because you're going to need to fold down the third row as well, and it adds some USB-C ports for those rear passengers, which is pretty nice. But the addition of USB-C ports in the third row kind of makes it seem like Tesla is pretty confident that you can actually fit people that would have a phone back there. If we look back at original images of the Model Y from Tesla, we can see that this third row is clearly folding forward. These seats are clearly forward-facing passengers. And based on some very unfortunate photos of the Model Y getting in accidents, it really seems like rear-facing wouldn't be a safe option whatsoever. Now, we've seen that photo of the third row for a while, but we actually saw some updated software images of actual renders from Tesla recently. And again, that confirms the same design we've been expecting. So these seats are going to be forward-facing. Tesla is so incredibly mysterious with all this stuff. It seems a little weird at this point that they didn't tell anyone this standard range version was coming, and they aren't updating us about the rear-wheel drive version either. I guess their thinking is probably if you really want the car, you can just buy the more expensive version, and then we'll announce the cheaper one whenever we decide to do so. However, I'm still holding out just a little bit of hope for this long-range rear-wheel drive version of the Model Y, although it does seem very unlikely since the Model 3 does not have a rear-wheel drive long-range version. Basically, you can buy the cheap Tesla with one motor and a smaller battery pack, or the more expensive Tesla with a bigger battery pack and 2 motors. Tesla just updates their cars whenever throughout the year. They add little features here and there, and sometimes they do somewhat of a bigger refresh, but this time they're just announcing the standard range and actually releasing the 7-seater version. Some things we're expecting to come any day now include a heated steering wheel, which they have added to both the Model Y and the Model 3 over in China. The heated steering wheel is a great feature that many people want, and it should be on a car that is priced this expensive, so hopefully that is coming to the US very soon. Tesla also updated the center console to the Model 3 in the United States, and they did the same to the Model 3 and Model Y over in China. So we're expecting that this new non-shiny center console will be making its way to the Model Y anytime soon. On top of that, they added this wood trim to the door panels that extends past the dash over in China. I talked about this in my last video that it could possibly be something that's exclusive to China, but Tesla kind of likes to keep all of their parts simplified, as we've seen throughout the history of this company, so we're really expecting that those wood panels on the doors are going to make their way to the Model Y and 3 in the United States soon. And then the last feature we're really expecting soon is the HEPA filter that enables bioweapon defense mode in the Model Y. This is something that Tesla left off of the Model 3 when they made it, and they went with more standard size filters in the United States, and now in China, they have added the HEPA filter to the Model Y. The Model Y is quite a bit bigger than the Model 3, so it actually has added space to put this larger HEPA filter in there, and it enables this feature that is really great for smoky areas or pollution or a possible bioweapon attack. It's definitely a feature a lot of people have been wanting, and it has been rumored for a while and seen in a lot of software versions, so we're really expecting that as well is going to come any day now to the Model Y in the United States. The Model Y seems to be selling incredibly well in the United States. The Model 3 was very popular, but the Model Y is just big enough that people like the big difference. I know for me, I needed a little more cargo space than the Model 3 provides, and the Model Y definitely provides a lot with this beautiful hatchback trunk. Now, if you have 7 people seated in that car, I assume your trunk space is going to be quite reduced, but it's still a great amount of space back there. And there's been some evidence that Tesla possibly is selling the Model Y a lot more than the Model 3. Based on accessory sales from third-party companies, some companies were estimating as much as 80% of Tesla's sales last year were the Model Y. Now, this isn't evidence from Tesla, and Tesla actually bundles their Model Y and 3 deliveries together, so we don't actually know. But it seems very likely. I live in California, and every time I go out and drive, I'm more likely to see a Model Y at this point than I am a Model 3. That's by no means evidence, that's just my personal experience, but it does seem like the Model Y is very popular, and Tesla adding this standard range option will make it even more popular, especially since you can now lease the Model Y, and for the standard range version, if you get absolutely no upgrades whatsoever, no full self-driving, no 7-seater, no paint color, no wheel upgrade, your monthly cost after a $4,500 down payment is $419 per month. That's definitely going to be a very popular option for many people and many companies, since the standard range version can get you most places. If you're just doing your normal commute, 244 miles is going to be plenty. On a road trip, you will have to stop a little more frequently than you would in a longer range vehicle, and that can be a little bit annoying, but usually a road trip is the anomaly. For the most part, you're driving less than 100 miles per day. So if you've been holding out for the 7-seater Model Y, today is your day. The Model Y 7-seater is finally being made in all configurations. If you want to get the performance model with 7 seats or a standard range version with 7 seats, you can now do so. And it apparently has some great features, including USB ports for the third row. On top of this, it might provide a little more room than we're expecting, or even I'm expecting, because the second row can scoot forward. Maybe it's not just for people to get in the back, maybe it actually scoots forward and gives extra legroom to that third row. Coming up on Monday the 11th, Tesla will be restarting Model S and X production, and it'll be very interesting to see what they actually come out with there. It could have been that production was just paused for the holidays and they resume making the exact same cars they have, but most people are expecting a refresh. We've seen evidence that they're adding an interior camera to future-proof these cars for a robotaxi network, and we've seen evidence that they're actually going with a horizontal display for the future to match that of the Model 3, Model Y, and future Cybertruck. I'm personally holding out for more because I think Tesla really needs to refresh this car. However, a slightly different version of the Model S was spotted out in the wild, and really the only difference we noticed was slightly different wheels, a black trim, and a wider body. The black trim would put it in line with the Model 3 and the Model Y, and definitely makes sense since chrome deleting at Tesla is a very, very popular option, and Tesla is just doing away with the chrome entirely. I personally would love to see both of those cars get entirely refreshed, but we'll have to see what happens, and hopefully that interior refresh is at least what we're getting. Production of those cars will resume on January 11th, so I'll be sure to keep you posted about that, as well as any updates coming to the Model Y or 3. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to this channel, make sure to like this video if you appreciated it. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanShawTech. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.